This is an introductory section then into the SAP to start off with. I'm going to talk about, just go back and cover again what we did on day one, which is just what is a SAP. I'm going to talk about the key steps in the SAP process and some of the key elements. So it's quite a short section. And it's just something very briefly about the SAP development team, because that's maybe slightly different to the TDA development team. So, this diagram here shows we've now moved from, in the TDA SAP process, the strategic planning process, we're moving from the TDA into the SAP, and there are three basic steps in the SAP. There's this area around strategic thinking, which is a lot of what we're going to be doing today. Strategic planning, which is taking it out into the countries, the consultation, about setting up institutional arrangements to be able to implement the SAP in the countries, and developing SAP documents. And then there's the whole step around implementation, which we're not going to cover a lot of during this training course. It's another whole area that we could talk about at some length if we don't have time. So the SAP, just to go back to what the SAP is, the SAP is a negotiated policy document. It should be endorsed at the highest level in both countries, and it establishes clear priorities for action to resolve the problems identified in the TDA. So, priority again, it's all about prioritisation. A lot of this work is about prioritisation. What we're not trying to do in a SAP is just develop a wish list, a shopping list. What we're trying to do here is to initially come up with lots of ideas, but gradually squeeze them down to those ideas that are actually achievable both financially, politically, technically, etc. So, as I said a minute ago, the three key steps to the SAP process. Strategic thinking. This is the collaborative development of the key components of the SAP. This is visions, goals, opportunities for innovation, and options and alternatives. And that's what we're going to be, as I said, focusing on today. And then there's this whole area around national and regional consultation processes, and then implementation, or steps towards implementation. So it's just a few key elements of the SAP. A SAP will require a well-defined baseline that enables clear distinctions between actions which are purely national benefits from those that address transboundary concerns with global benefits. Because Jeff is interested in this bit, global benefits. National benefits are going to be things that will need to be funded either nationally or by other donor partnerships. Also, another key element of the SAP is the development of an institutional mechanism or mechanisms at both the regional and national level for implementing the SAP. So this might be, at the regional level, it might need the development of some kind of commission, and at the national level is how do you integrate the SAP into national policy, legislation, etc. The third key element is that there needs to be an effective monitoring and evaluation system in place to make sure that you can measure the effectiveness of the outcomes of the SAP. And the project and Jeff has a monitoring and evaluation system that will help with that.
For the first paragraph,
it's the question is for GF, national benefits are not important and not, well, no, they are important but not of interest. Only global, global benefits are of interest.
Okay. When we talk about global benefits, we mean transboundary benefits. So the Jeff is going to be interested in those actions that are shared between Chile and Peru. The national ones are going to be of equal importance, but they're not. Jeff will not fund those. Jeff tends to historically fund the incremental cost, the cost of taking something from a national perspective into a regional or global perspective. That's really what we're saying there. So it just needs to be considered. The SAP development team. So you are, let's say, the TDA development team, and it's likely that the SAP development team is going to contain key members of the TDA development team to have that continuity, but you are going to need to bring in other expertise. This is going from a technical process into a much more political process, so you're going to need to bring in people that are more familiar with that political process. Otherwise you'll end up with a technical SAP as well, which is something that is unlikely to be endorsed. So this is just a consideration that needs to be thought about when you're developing this team. And it might be that it's not just about bringing these people in, it's also about the consultation. How do you consult? How do you ensure that the outputs of the SAP development team find their way to those people that make decisions? So, with that in mind, I mentioned that the first step of this SAP process is something that I call strategic thinking. So, what do I mean by that? So in this small section, we're going to talk a little bit about what strategic thinking is, why it's important, and then we'll talk about the process. So, strategic thinking is a highly collaborative process. It's about working as a group to come up with new ideas, new opportunities through dialogue. So it's about you, and you've been doing it already in a sense, but you've been looking at it from a problem perspective. It's about groups of people coming together and brainstorming ideas that might help the project in terms of solutions. And this, for me, this is a fundamental part of strategic planning. Good strategic thinking uncovers potential new ideas so that when the plan is created, it targets these opportunities. The easiest way of developing a strategic plan is for just one person to do it. You know, I could go away and I could write a strategic action program for this project. Probably would take me maybe, let's say, a month. My consultancy rates, and I'd probably create a very nice document, and you know, there's no argument about it because I've written it. I'm the only person who's going to argue with me is me. Although I like arguing with myself, you know, that's just me, isn't it? But the issue there is there's been no consultation, no dialogue, and it's essentially then has to go through a lot of further consultation to get it agreed. And plus the fact you're not using that, you know, the wisdom and the benefit of a group of people. You're just taking it from one person's perspective. So that's what I think strategic thinking is. It's about getting groups of people to really think about what solutions could be. And in this strategic thinking process that is in this training, I've got 4 steps. One is setting a vision, so coming up with a vision for the particular water system, for the Humboldt Current. Secondly, it's about identifying goals to meet that vision. Thirdly, it's about coming up with new ideas that meet the goals and will hopefully reduce the problems identified in the TDA. And then fourthly, is going through all of those ideas and fine-tuning it to get a set of options that could be then taken into a national consultation process. So these are going to be potentially ideas that will then become solutions. Okay? So that's just, you'll see this schematic coming up again over the next 4 sessions, so to defining the vision, setting goals and status statements, brainstorming new ideas, prioritising rather than identifying options or alternatives. Okay, is everybody okay? Fairly comfortable? Question?
Una pregunta tal vez un poco inocente, pero cuando se hace la visión o este grupo de expertos empieza a hacer, o las personas empiezan a hacer pensamiento estratégico, es recomendable o metodológicamente es visto que el horizonte temporal sea corto, mediano o largo plazo. Lo digo porque puede resultar ser un pensamiento muy bonito, pero terminar siendo una utopía o algo parecido. ¿Hay alguna forma de recomendar mejor esto? La escala temporal del pensamiento, o sea, hacia dónde me quiero orientar hacia cuando yo hago cuando planteo una acción.
No, I'm kind of a bit confused there.
De nuevo, cuando yo hago un pensamiento estratégico tratando de encontrar las acciones que me van a ayudar a solucionar una problemática identificada en mi TDA, yo empiezo a crear ideas. Estas ideas es mejor darles una escala temporal, vale decir corto, mediano o largo plazo.
It's very likely that at this stage, when you're brainstorming, you won't be putting time frames on, but by the time you come to here, you will start to think about that. Is this a short, long, or medium term solution? So it's at this stage that you start thinking about it. Yeah, so we are going to be definitely bringing that in. Not only at this stage will we be doing that, we'll also start to think about, what's this going to cost? Approximately. We think this is $100,000, or is it, $1 million, $10 million, or $5? It's that kind of thing we'll be discussing there. Okay, so with that in mind, we're going to go straight into doing something around vision. So, we're going to look at what is a vision. We're going to then come into a process of defining a vision. I'm going to give you some examples of some vision statements. That line should be there. What is a vision? Examples of vision statements, and then a process. Okay? So what's a vision? So in the context of the TDA SAP approach, the vision is a long-term view describing the way the stakeholders think the water system should look in the future. So the long term could be 25 years, could be 10 years, could be 50 years. There needs to be some kind of time frame on that. It describes the way the stakeholders, and you are representing the stakeholders in this meeting, think the water system should look in the future. How do you want the water system to look in 25 years? How would you like to see it run more current?